Thank you for joining. So this is Thailand. I'm Valerie McKenzie. Sawadee ka.
I'm Johan Wimonchalau. Swadee krap.
And I'm Tapani Manawet. Sawadee ka.
Now, every year the Bumrungrad Hospital, in fact, holds an event called Living in Bangkok. It's a particularly good event for people that have come to Bangkok and are living here for the first time. It's also good for those who are thinking about changing the education for their children, for looking at new products and services, for looking at some medical issues, of course, and much, much more. It's actually on one day, Saturday the 15th of September, from 9 a.m. to 5 p.m. It's in the main building, and then there is also another section within the Sky building on the 10th floor. So it's well worth a visit. You can get all sorts of information. There's also information about tours for expats. There's information about different products. You can try all sorts of different foods, foods from all around the world, and you can also meet people. There's always seminars and you can meet with the doctors directly, but it's a fun day. So put in your diary now, September the 15th at the Bumrungrad Hospital, and we look forward to seeing you there. It's a good event, really a good event.
Well, that can draw a lot of attention. I mean, it's such a wide variety of things that you can go there to look at, and Bumrungrad always has a lot of good things going on there.
Well, I think the other thing too, they're very much part of the community, and I know other hospitals are too, but they particularly want to actually direct themselves to the expats so that the expats feel more comfortable in their environment. And it's not easy, to actually come to a new country and then try to get all the information when you're here. But this is one spot, once a year. See you there on the 15th of September.
Yeah, and being in a hospital, you kind of get the freebie medical checkups as well. Like you can check
exactly.
your blood pressure or things like that.
Now, for those of you who haven't actually visited this hospital, and for those of you overseas watching the program, this is really like going into a shopping mall. So we have restaurants, we have shops, we have all sorts of different things, bookshops, flower shops, whatever. It's just like going into a hotel lobby, in fact. So get over there. As I said, we'll see you there. And the talk of the town, what is it today?
Well, talk of the town, we got a lot of different subjects to cover today. So starting off at the top, crooked cops. Well, it seems that every country has crooked cops, and this is just the latest. Here in Thailand, it seems that a little mini gang of crooked cops have stolen almost 2 million baht from over 40 victims. Now, it's quite an elaborate setup that they've done. They've actually threatened these victims into thinking that they were suspects in other cases and then obviously extorting money from them. So there were actually 3 officers were apprehended, and they were all from the Bang Yai area of so whether that area has something to do with it or not, I'm not sure.
Just happens that I live nearby there, but that's fine.
well, hopefully you didn't get pulled over. But just to give you an example of some of the tactics they did is one of their victims, Mr. Somai, who is 35 years old and a house painter, basically he was called to come paint a house like a normal job, drove there, called up what he thought was the owner, was told that, oh, no, we've changed the location, so a little suspicious already. Changed it to another soy, started noticing that there was a pickup truck kind of circling around suspiciously. Got there, called up, they said, oh, changed it again, pulled up into another soy, and there was the pickup truck and one of the suspects dressed in full police uniform and saying that, oh, you're coming to a known drug dealing area. So it's like they kind of set him up.
Oh.
Set him up to make him look like he was there for a drug deal, when in fact he was just trying to paint someone's house.
Oh. And I guess that this, fortunately, I mean, it's not fortunate, but it's gone to actually the Thai. So what we're saying to you as the foreigners, beware if there's anyone coming to your home that you haven't booked, or they're coming, a different group of people coming than what you originally thought were coming. Check it out. Don't let them in.
And actually, increasingly, I've seen scams. I was actually in a shop, and someone walked in and said they had been injured, they needed money to get to hospital, and the shopkeeper, being very kind, gave him some money. And as he left, she said, this happens to me every day. So there's more people kind of going around the streets and scamming, and it's always, oh, I need 100 baht to get home, and I've been tricked here, or I just had an accident, I need to get to hospital, that kind of thing, and just playing on the kindness of people. So they usually end up getting lots and lots of money at the end of the day.
And it's going to get tougher because the economy is not great in Europe. It's certainly not great in the States, and it has to have a flow-on effect. I was reading today, in fact, that 65,000 people, in fact, have lost their jobs over this last month. So there'll be a lot of people looking for that extra, but just be very careful. Hang on to your wallets.
All right, taking a look at some government activities, the PM has been campaigning in a seminar to stop violence against women and to empower government personnel and to promote knowledge against violence against women in the community. This seminar was aimed at providing attorney generals and other officials in the Ministry of Justice with knowledge in order for them to be able to properly enforce regulations and make decisions on issues related to women and children. Now, Thailand has had a law against domestic violence which has been in place for 5 years, but obviously not very well enforced, and as has been admitted, it hasn't been very effective, as most people here see violence against women as a family matter where they shouldn't intervene. So the Office of the Attorney General has been designated to be the center in charge for campaigning for laws protecting and empowering women, and they are cooperating with other ministries to tackle this problem. Meanwhile, they've urged everyone to be vigilant and to help promote equality and stop violence against women and children.
We're not only talking, of course, about the physical violence, we're talking about the psychological problems that are given to the women and the children. So this is another area that we have to address, and it's very hard, we understand, for women to come forward, not only in Thailand but around the world. So hopefully that it'll be more open here in this country and people will be more comfortable in actually talking about their problems. You need help, you need to have someone to go to.
And that actually, you mentioned, you know, the psychological effects. A lot of times these types of crimes actually, they go unnoticed because they are psychological, or because the people feel so ashamed that they feel they need to cover it up. You know, there's the community stigma there, there's, you know, the cultural as well. So hopefully, you know, as it becomes more acceptable to talk about this, we'll see that go down.
Hopefully so.
Well, moving right along, it seems we talk a lot about flooding here on the program because obviously there is a lot of flooding to talk about. But on the flip side, Pattaya is bracing for a drought. Believe it or not, from one extreme to the other, it seems that even with normal rainfall this year, because of the increase in use from the industrial estates, especially at the Mataput in Rayong areas, and other developments, more people moving into Pattaya as well, there's less water. And so they're looking at demand has risen by 30%, but the dams are only about 50% full.
What you're looking at, by the way, before was all the water that was there. We're now showing you on the screen the water that is not there, how dry it is, yeah.
Exactly. So they're looking at, you know, if they don't get enough rain, or more rain, I should say, later this year, that 2013, there'd be some really major problems there. Demand for water increases every year by about 8%. If there is another drought, as there was in 2005 and in 2007 in Pattaya, they're looking at 300 billion baht in losses because of tourism, because of industrial use. So it's a really big problem. It seems that there's not been one solution which can really balance, all right, we can store all the floodwater from one season to apply it in the drought season.
Yes, I think it's not only Pattaya too. For those of you who don't know, our rice issue, rice harvest has become a problem also. In Korat, Nakhon Ratchasima, in Surin, there is absolutely no water at all. So the rice fields are really diminished. There's really very little rice that we're going to be able to get this year. That also means, of course, that our neighbouring countries like Vietnam and Myanmar are going to jump ahead fairly quickly. But part of it is the act of God. We, in fact, don't have the water in those areas, even though we've got so much we can give you in Bangkok. You're very welcome.
All right, on to some good news now. And due to the shopping sprees and sales of last month, it has increased VAT in July by leaps and bounds. So domestic consumption and investment has increased. by a lot. And Thailand has surprised global economists with a 4.2% economic growth in the second quarter against the predicted 3.1%. However, hard times are coming in the second half with the Eurozone crisis, and that has been predicted to be dragging down Thailand's export while creating greater volatility in capital flows across ASEAN. However, Moody Investor Service praised Thailand for unexpected strong quarterly results, and Thailand is going to be attracting inflows of investment now, with foreign investors remaining the net buyers of Thai shares by over 60 billion baht.
Wow, that's good news.
Very good.
Very good news.
Well, if you remember, we covered the story a few days ago, or even last week, I believe, where we were covering how much U.S. companies were investing here because they feel that it's still a very positive investment environment here. So good to see, even with all the challenges we've faced over the past year, over the past couple of years, it's still a good place to do business.
Well, it is, and I think the stock exchange is an interesting concept too, because we haven't always attracted so many foreign investors to actually get the foreign investors here to believe in what the country is doing, what the companies are doing. You know, you just look at the latest Forbes, where you see all of our, well, a very large number of our executives, business owners now topping the polls. Very, very big business here, and there's lots of opportunities for those people who want to either export product from here or, in fact, want to bring imported items in. There's a huge market, 67 million population, a lot of people to sell to. They can't all buy, but it depends what you bring in.
That's very true.
Yeah, in the second quarter, we were stronger than China, than Hong Kong, Singapore, South Korea, and Taiwan. So
wow.
that is actually amazing news.
So our exports aren't great, but this side of GDP is going well. Good news.
And in some more interesting news to end the talk of the town, what's been coming in the Thai news that you may not be understanding at home is a very interesting result medically, where there was a young man who was a ladyboy, for those who know the third gender here in Thailand, identified himself as a female, got into a car accident, an actual motorcycle accident, had sustained head injuries, was in a coma for, I believe, at least 2 or 3 months. After awakening, very surprised, had a complete change. Now identified himself as a male and was shocked to see pictures of himself dressing as a ladyboy, to see his wardrobe, to see the names that people had called himself, a complete, 180. Very, very interesting medically, because they said he had damaged that part of the brain which identifies our sexuality. So for all those people, naysayers out there who say that it's a choice, it's not.
Interesting. Well, it might be that he thought he had a second chance, of course, and I better come back what I really should be. Forever sceptical. But it's interesting, isn't it? Because this is not the first time it's happened.
It's not, because there was actually another case, I don't know if you heard of this in the news, I think it was on the radio, of a tomboy, a female who also identified herself as a male, again got into an accident. This time was only knocked out for a few hours, but again injured that part of the brain which affects sexuality. She woke up, looked at some tattoos on herself and said, my God, what are these? Why do I have these? And then complete change. So always interesting to see.
I think we should get an expert to talk about that subject. What part of our brain do we need to protect for our sexuality? This is an interesting subject. We like to bring you everything that's quite different also on So This Is Thailand. Now, moving right along, we're going to go to a break, and then we're going to come back with a gentleman who had really no interest in water filters, but then something changed. He's now bringing water filters in from Germany. We're going to have him in the studio talking about why we need to filter water, not just in Thailand, but around the world. Dr. Manu Linawong from the Aqua Innotech company will be here talking about how to drink very, very clean water. Stay tuned. We'll be back with you after the break.